Hi there, Agile friends. I'll come in here just with a quick note to let you know that the Agile Online Summit 2022 is coming soon. To know more, check out bit.ly/AOS2022. That's all one word, all lowercase, bit.ly/AOS2022. Now, stick around to the end of the episode if you want to know more, but for now, on to the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. And this week, joining us from North Carolina in the U.S. is Shaun Bradshaw. Hey, Shaun, welcome to the show.
Hi, Vasco. How are you doing?
So Shaun is a founder and principal at Zenergy Technologies. Am I pronouncing that correctly, Shaun?
That's right. Zenergy.
And also a modern software, Zenergy Technologies, that is a modern software delivery solutions firm that specializes in Agile, DevOps, quality, and automation. Shaun's background in QA, that's quality assurance, testing, and metrics has played an important role in his work as an Agile consultant since he joined the community in 2008. So Shaun, that was a short intro. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you end up becoming a Scrum Master?
Well, thanks for the question. So as it was indicated in the bio, my background was in software testing, quality assurance, and consulting in that area. Back in the mid 2000s, I started running into individuals, particularly Bob Galen, which I know you're familiar with Bob. But Bob was a real leader in the Scrum space at the time, and he and I lived fairly close to each other. So he turned me on to the idea of Agile. I read the manifesto. It really struck me. It was the best of, it kind of called out to the best of what I had seen in my experience up to that time. And so in 2008, I went and took a certified Scrum Master class with Ken Schwaber, and I've been involved in the community since.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure that some of those early projects that you were working in as a Scrum Master were a bit of a doozer. I mean, after all, it is a big change from what we used to do in the traditional way of delivering software. So maybe that's one of those that we're going to dive into right now with the first question of the week, which is, of course, Fail Monday, the question about failure. Now, we do want to focus on failure because that helps us, listening to it, know what's ahead, and of course, prepare for it. So, Shaun, tell us that story.
So I would say the biggest failure I had was not a specific story. It was more an understanding in those early days of what Agile was. And you have to remember, today we talk a lot, I think, at least, we talk a lot more about Agile versus, say, Scrum or Kanban. We really kind of separate the techniques and models from the philosophy. But at the time, I really saw it, and the way it was usually discussed or written about was, well, Scrum is Agile. And of course, we don't talk that way now, but I remember I was on a plane ride. Actually, Bob Galen was with me, and this was early in my career, and we were chatting about a client that we were going to work with. And I said, Bob, I really get this Agile stuff. I understand what the key difference is between that and waterfall. And it's the time boxing, it's really the structure and how we separate the teams out and work. And he said, no, Shaun, that's not it at all. It's the mindset. It's how we think about the work that we're doing. And it's getting teams to collaborate and to take ownership of what they're doing and being self-directed. And I was like, a light switch went off in my mind. It's like, up until that point, that was, I want to say around 2010. So the prior 2 years of my work as a Scrum Master, I don't want to say I was doing it wrong, but I was doing it and not really imbibing the philosophy of agility. And I wasn't really pushing the teams in that direction. I was really more about, just making sure that we were doing the daily stand-ups. We were walking, just going through the motion, so to speak. And but that was just like a thing that really clicked in my mind. It's like, oh, okay, I need to get the teams to be thinking a different way, not just acting a different way. It's got to be an internal change as much as an external change.
That's a good way to put it. Of course, doing things differently is half the journey to thinking differently about the things we're doing, obviously. And right now, out there are many Scrum Masters who are perhaps on the verge of making that discovery, that light switch you were talking about in your conversation with Bob, but they don't have it yet. So for them, they're still in the idea that it's the practices that matter. It's not the what you call the mindset and the way of thinking. What can we tell those Scrum Masters out there that are still thinking that the practices are what Agile is about? Sorry.
Sure. So this is the way I look at it. I've told this story many times, but one of the most agile projects I ever worked on actually was waterfall. It was structured in waterfall. But what made it align with agility was how we as a team coalesced, collaborated, and worked together. That, although we were structured in a siloed fashion, we constantly communicated and worked to figure out how best we could hand off the different tasks and actually help each other with those tasks. So it's funny that the structure of, say, Scrum and how it's set up, I think allows people to put into practice some of the ideals that the manifesto drives. But the really important change I think Scrum Masters have to think about is there has to be an internal desire to change, to transform. There's a personal transformation that actually has to happen. And as a Scrum Master, in working with your team members, in working with leaders, that's what you've got to be looking for is not just within yourself, but in everyone you're working with. What's going to be the spark that will light that personal transformation inside of them, so that they also understand, because ultimately they're the ones doing the work, particularly at the team level.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about this internal transformation. One should not discount the importance of changing the practices, right? Because having a bi-weekly or even weekly feedback session with stakeholders who are interested in what you're delivering is definitely going to enhance your agility, right? Because you're getting information, you're adapting to it, right? That's one of the core principles of agility, learning from early feedback and, satisfying customers through the early delivery of software. And but at the same time, what you say is really important for us to use as a thinking model, right? That it is, as you said, the way the team collaborates that matters. It's not only are they having a demo, are they having the stand-ups, but it's also what are they doing in that demo? Are they seeking feedback, or are they just doing a rehearsed presentation that seeks to avoid feedback, right?
And I think as a Scrum Master, what we should be doing is reinforcing the good habits of the actions, the doing, but constantly be coaching the teams and leaders toward thinking about the why behind it, and again trying to manifest that personal transformation. Shifting a mindset is different from changing an action, and it requires the action itself to reinforce it. So doing the daily stand-ups, doing the demos, doing the retrospectives, those are all important. But I think as Scrum Masters, we have to continuously coach the team members, some of which we'll have to coach more than others, because some people will get it and some people will lag a little bit, but coach them on the why behind it, and see, again, if we can find what will spark that change in them.
Yeah, exactly. The why that drives that internal change that you were talking about. That's a beautiful story and a great reminder that we should be looking at what's beyond the ceremonies that we might already be executing, and even executing well. So thank you for sharing that, Shaun.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi there, Agile friends. Thank you for sticking around to know more about this year's Agile Online Summit. The summit will have 4 keynotes and 4 tracks you will not want to miss. The keynotes will touch on critical topics for us, from delivering on time to helping you to focus on sustainability. The 4 tracks are tools, so we'll focus on tools you need to excel at your job, but also your mission. We'll also have a track on sustainability, which is, of course, about people and their sustainable pace, but it's also about how do we bring sustainability to the products and the planet we inhabit. We'll have a 3rd track about happiness, talking about doing what we love and, most crucially, loving what we do. And finally, the 4th track will be live. It will be mostly hands-on sessions to help you roll up your sleeves together with the presenters. Oh, and we will also have a coaching clinic, as we usually do, organized to help you discuss and get inspired to solve the hardest challenges you face at work. This year, we'll have a special emphasis on interaction with your peers, so get your ticket and join the Slack at bit.ly/AOS 2022. As always, we have free tickets for anyone that wants to attend live, and the VIP tickets for those of you who want to keep the videos forever. So check them out at bit.ly/AOS 2022. I'll see you on the conference floor. Monday is about what we learn from our obstacles and our failures. But tomorrow is Team Tuesday here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. We explore teams and their journeys, the habits they develop that threaten their performance, how each of our guests helped their teams evolve, and the one key lesson they learned from that experience. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.